LPBW Tori and Zach Roloff talk about shocking and tragic miscarriage. Little People Big World celebs Zach Roloff and Tori Roloff recently opened up about the miscarriage that Tori had. The pair went deep into this traumatic event and how this tragedy affected them prior to the eventual arrival of Jose Roloff. What did they have to say? Little People Big World. Tori Roloff had a miscarriage in 2021. Tori Roloff shocked the Little People Big World community when she revealed she had a miscarriage in 2021. Understandably, this was devastating news for Tori, Zach, and the entire family. The husband and wife recently revisited that family tragedy in an episode of their podcast, Raising Heights. The husband and wife have had a few years to heal, process, and do as much as they can to grieve and continue with their lives since that devastating loss. They welcomed Jose Roloff since then and have a thriving family of 5 in Battleground, Washington. However, that loss still weighs heavily on them both. LPBW Tori Roloff and Zach Roloff open up about loss. The way Tori Roloff speaks of the experience, she said on her Raising Heights podcast with her husband, "I can remember just being so mad at my body after that. I had what was called a missed miscarriage, which means that my body didn't realize that the baby passed on. So I was left with the decision with how do you want to move forward, because it had been 3 weeks, because that's where the growth had stopped." Zach Roloff chimed in as well about this harrowing experience, adding, 3 kids, you get kind of excited, you announce it a little earlier, you get a little bit more excited, and you jump ahead a little bit. That's what I remember telling the TV people, the family. Little People Big World. Tori and Zach ruffle some feathers with controversial stance. Inevitably, while discussing their tragic experience with the miscarriage, the topic of abortion came up, which by nature is a dividing subject. Speaking on the matter, Tori said, "To me, when you get pregnant, that's a baby, you know, and so when we lost that baby, it was like we just lost a part of our family." While many Little People Big World fans sympathize with what Tori Roloff and the rest of her family went through, not all of her followers are on board with her and her husband's position on the matter of abortion. After what Tori went through of losing her baby, she said, "I'm not ok with this. I don't understand how someone could choose to be in that room." Tori Roloff discusses the kids on Raising Heights, Instagram. Tori Roloff did as much damage control as she could without backing down from her position. Both Zach and Tori agreed that there are special circumstances where something like abortion may be necessary. Either way, when you touch on issues like this as a family in the public eye, some level of pushback is unavoidable. At the end of the day, Tori reiterated that these are their views on their podcast, and she encouraged her followers to listen to the whole thing to get the whole picture, rather than to form an opinion based on a few select sound bites of it. For all the latest Little People Big World news, come back again to TV show's Ace for more. Little People Big World's Zach Roloff sends a bold message about live-action Snow White. The TLC star didn't hold back with his reaction to a new teaser trailer with revamped dwarves. Little People Big World star Zach Roloff and his wife Tori have shared their opinions about the live-action Snow White remake in the past. But following the release of a teaser trailer with revamped dwarves, the TLC star sent a direct message to actor Peter Dinklage. On Saturday, August 10, the official teaser trailer for the live-action Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler, was released. The video gave fans a glimpse of the newly revamped dwarves after Disney scrapped first-look photos reimagining them as magical creatures. Except, instead of including any real actors, the dwarves are now CGI. Zach responded to the change via his Instagram story, calling out the film for completely nixing LP actors. So they aren't just taking away the dwarves and making Snow White. They are keying the dwarves. This isn't 1937. There are actually a lot of people with dwarfism walking around, he wrote alongside a photo of Zegler with the new dwarves. Either focus on Snow White or own the dwarf representation. If you've been following our podcast, I've had thoughts on this. Zach continued in another segment of his Instagram story. They updated/diversified Snow White, but went way backward on the dwarf side. Hope Dinklage is happy. This wasn't the first time the Roloff family has spoken out about the film. During a March 14 episode of Zach and Tori's podcast, Raising Heights, Zach explained that little people being on camera is very powerful when it comes to showing and promoting diversity. Even if it's not shown in the best way, we can correct that, we can adjust, we move forward, he said. It's still a very powerful thing. The TLC star, 34, continued, even though some people might say, you're not being portrayed the right way, there are still parts of the population that will simply look at you and be like, you are on TV. You're awesome. That's so cool. I respect you. Zach pointed out that Disney replacing dwarves with magical creatures took away jobs for actors with dwarfism. Instead, he argued the characters should be modernized without negative stereotypes. So they're being progressive by updating Snow White. Be progressive by updating the dwarves, he explained. You could tell the story of the 7 dwarves without putting them in a cave, without making it all magical and a bunch of hermits out in the wilderness mining. In January 2022, Dinklage, who also has dwarfism, criticized the live-action remake of Snow White on Marc Maron's WTF podcast. Literally no offense to anything, but I was sort of taken aback, Dinklage said of the film. They were very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White, but you're still telling the story of Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. Take a step back and look at what you're doing there. It makes no sense to me. The Game of Thrones star added, you're progressive in one way, but you're still making that F-bomb backward story about 7 dwarfs living in a cave together. Have I done nothing to advance the cause for my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. Not long after Dinklage's comments, Disney published a statement via Good Morning America announcing it was taking a different approach with these 7 characters in an effort to avoid reinforcing stereotypes from the original animated film. Snow White is set to hit theaters on March 21, 2025.